Okay, I want to know, what is one decision you made, one small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life? And you don't have to explain, you don't have to tell me why. I just want to hear the statement or the question or the decision. Mine is super small. It's as easy as, hey, do you want to come drink on the grass in front of the dorms with us? And I'm not explaining that one, but it did. It changed my whole life.
Okay guys, so this video is all about a video that a woman made. She asked the question that, what is that one unimportant decision that you made and it had a greater impact on your life more than what you thought it would do? So people started replying that video. People started talking about their own story. So we're going to check out a lot of people's comments, a lot of people's stories, and then I'll also share my own story and how just clicking on a Facebook ad that I saw a friend like led me to winning almost £17,000 worth of scholarship, and also helping a family member win almost £25,000 worth of scholarship, and helping almost over 100 people relocate to the UK through the student route with their family, and how I've been able to create a positive impact in quite a lot of people and myself. So let's check out people's reaction, let's check out people's stories, and then I will come back to give you the full gist. It involves Ebola virus, hand sanitizer, and a whole lot of things. So let's check out people's stories, then I'll come back with my own story.
Okay, I want to know, what is one decision you made, one small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life? And you don't have to explain, you don't have to tell me why. I just want to hear the statement or the question or the decision. Mine is super small. It's as easy as, hey, do you want to come drink on the grass in front of the dorms with us? And I'm not explaining that one, but it did. It changed my whole life. One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
Mailing out a different colored envelope changed my whole life. Stay with me here, okay? So many years ago, when I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, I was mailing out my resume because I wanted to get an internship somewhere. I was mailing it everywhere, every place I could, and no one was getting back to me. It was so discouraging. I was so sad about it. Anyway, I ended up going to my girlfriend's house, and while I'm there, I noticed that on her desk, she has a book written by Wendy Williams. And if you don't know who Wendy Williams is, at the time, she was a very popular DJ in New York, and she ended up becoming a big talk show host. Long story short, my girlfriend was like, you should read it. It's really entertaining. Anyway, I read the book, and the big takeaway I got from the book was that the way Wendy Williams, when she was trying to become a DJ, she would send her resume out in very colorful packaging so that it could get the attention of, anyone who was doing the hiring. Long story short, I went to a print shop, bought this really expensive envelope. It was like $6. I was a broke kid then. And I mailed it out to one place, a TV station. Long story short, I ended up getting a call from the station a few days later. They ended up offering me the internship. I know for a fact it was because I sent my resume in that colorful envelope, because I had applied many times with them and had never heard back. Anyway, I ended up loving working on TV, and that internship led to so many opportunities, so many amazing connections, and I actually still work in TV to this day. The really cool thing is that I ended up working with Wendy Williams on her show many, many times, and made some many, many amazing memories happen with her, and I was able to tell her how that piece of advice changed my life. Wow. So more of the story is, change your envelope, it could change your life.
You made one small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
I probably would not be here today if I had not decided to sleep in my own bed in my own apartment on September 27th of 2017. This was the start of my sophomore year in college, and I was a pretty big drinker at that time. I had gotten into some other things as well. Basically, I was just not doing well. I was a mess. The night of the 27th, I was very not sober, and I was planning on staying over at my friend's apartment because my roommate at the time didn't like when I would come home and be a mess, like as she should. And it was pretty usual for me to stay at a friend's apartment and not come home because I just didn't like being at home, and I don't think she liked me being around either. So it was very strange that night when I got a bunch of texts from her and my friends saying they really didn't want her to sleep alone at the apartment that night. And I thought that was weird and didn't think about it much, and I just pushed back and was like, she's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna stay at my friend's place because I didn't have classes the next morning. I wasn't probably gonna go home at all the next day. Eventually though, they ended up pushing enough and convincing me, so I came home. I don't remember much after that, but I do remember waking up the next morning to my roommate saying, "Chris, your dad is here." Hungover and not realizing what that meant, I stumbled into the kitchen, and when I got there, my mom, my dad, my sister, 2 aunts, an uncle, 2 best friends, the mom of a childhood best friend, and then a guy that I didn't know were all sitting in a circle in my kitchen with packets of paper in front of them. They were having an intervention for me. To make a long story short, I was told that if I did not go to rehab that day, I would be cut off from the family and they would remove me from school, leaving me with nothing. I would have nothing. I would be homeless and I would have to figure it out. And they also told me your flight's in an hour. So you have to make your decision right now. I had no time to say goodbye to any of my friends. I had to shower, pack, and leave in that moment. They told me I was going to Florida for a 90-day program, and they ended up holding me there for about a year. That rehab destroyed me, built me back up, destroyed me again, and then spit me back out into society. But without it, I would simply not be here today. If I had been stubborn enough, as I usually was, to just stay at a friend's apartment, I may have caught wind of what was happening and then never came home. And then my family would have never gotten the chance to tell me the impact that my actions were having on them. Considering when I got to that rehab at 19, they told me I was already having liver failure, I don't think I would have lasted much longer. So on September 27th of 2017, I slept at home, and now in 2023, I'll have 6 years sober.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
2018, I am living in a new province in KZN. I don't have a place to stay. I am, however, booked into an Airbnb. Not an Airbnb, a B&B. I'm staying at a B&B. And I didn't mind. It's one of those B&Bs where you're sharing a dorm, so there's like maybe 5 beds in the dorm. And quite affordable. I was like, you know what, this is better than being on the streets. And I just needed a shelter so I can be able to get up and go to work. 4 or 5 days into my stay into the B&B, on a Friday, I remember I had something to eat, I had a couple of drinks, and I was exhausted and I went to bed. I wake up an hour into my sleep and I'm woken up by noise, and I just looked slightly from my eyes towards the entrance door of the dorm, and I realized that there's a young lady who's been checked in and she's coming to sleep in my dorm. And instantly I was like, I'm not going to talk to her, like it's late at night, I don't have time for it, like I'm just tired. Let me carry on sleeping. So I carry on and I ignore her and I sleep. I was sleeping on the bottom bunk on the one end, and she was sleeping on the bottom bunk on the other end of the dorm. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk to her. But I can't really fall asleep because I can hear her have like little murmur self-conversations with herself. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to carry on sleeping. I don't know what it was, but like 2 hours into my sleep, this is like AMs, I can still hear her talking to herself, and I'm like, you know what, let me just turn around and say hi to her. So I turn around, it's pitch black in the dorm, I turn around and I say, hey, how are you? And she's like, oh my god, I was so scared to wake you, I thought you were sleeping, and I've just been dying to talk to somebody. She introduces herself and I introduce myself. We both get into a hectic conversation as to why we booked into this B&B. She proceeds to tell me that she's just booked for the night. Her car had gone in for service. She's not from KZN, so she just needed somewhere to stay, and she was leaving in the morning. Long story short, had I not turned around and said hi to her, she would have gotten up in the morning way before me, taken a shower, and left, and I would have never met her again because she was not from KZN. She ended up becoming my best friend till to date. She ended up becoming the reason. She ended up becoming, you know, when they say you need to ask the universe to provide your divine helper, she became my divine helper. She became the reason why my business literally a year later started to flourish and make money. She became the reason why I made certain decisions around business and I was able to get to where I am. Literally, she became the missing key that I needed. And I always sit and I think to myself, that day, had I not just gotten out of my comfort and said hi to her, I would have never met her. I could have possibly missed an opportunity.
That's so touching.
So yeah, for me, that was a tiny decision, but that changed my life completely.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
I desperately wanted to take American Sign Language as my world language in college, but it was known that only athletes and seniors got in it. Somehow I ended up becoming friends with this softball player who I met through a mutual friend. I have no idea who she is today, but she signed up for the American Sign Language class, held it for me, she dropped it, I signed up. 2 years later, I have a epiphany, like I was punched in the face, that I needed to become a sign language interpreter. So I graduated with my degree in education and went right back to school to become a sign language interpreter. 10 years later, I'm fluent and still using the language as a career. But more than that, I have a 5-year-old son who has a genetic disorder, who is nonverbal, and needs sign language to communicate. And I'm able to provide him with language. All thanks to that softball player who I have no idea who she is.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
So one night in Brooklyn, my friends invited me out. I did not have enough cash to go out to a bar. I was working at Crossroad Trading Co. and I was making like $10 an hour. I couldn't go out because I couldn't spend the money to go to a bar and then like eat and like pay rent and all that stuff. So I decided to stay in. And basically, I'm inside on the weekend, bored as hell, really having like the worst FOMO. I decided to just like go on my laptop. I tried to watch something, wasn't really into it, didn't really have any other type of plans. So I don't know what came over me in that instance, but I just started like looking up, manufacturers for like clothes, handbags, things like that. And I found a place in New Jersey, and I really to this day, I don't know why I started looking it up, but I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna like make like a bag. And it's kind of nuts. I reached out, emailed this factory, emailed a bunch of different factories. One was in New Jersey, and there's another one here in the city. I decided to, on my next off day, go there. I kind of told them that, I wanted to make a bag, and they were like looking at me crazy, but they're like, okay, cool. I couldn't afford the total cost, so they kind of put me on a payment plan, that's when I made my first bag, which is my Portmore backpack. And I made that backpack and would wear it to Crossroads, like to work all the time. And then I met an editor. She was just selling some of her like used clothes, and I told her that I had made a bag, and like when wearing that bag, a lot of people on the train and stuff would like compliment it or ask where it's from, and I was just like, oh, it's just something I did, like I thought of and worked with this place to make. That day I was buying in clothes from the customers. That's what was my job. I was a buyer, so people would take their used clothes, I'd go through it, buy the stuff I thought we could sell again. Okay. So this editor was there, she was selling her stuff, and turned out she was an editor at Essence, and I showed her my bag, just like talking about fashion. And she was really into it. And I think 2 weeks later, it was in Essence magazine. What? So from there, the brand started happening. What? Fast forwarding today, I've done talks with Wall Street Journal. We're in like Saks, Nordstrom. We sell online. The brand is like something I totally didn't see coming. We've dressed Cheryl Lee Ralph, Serena Williams, Beyonce. We've done all these crazy things. And I always think about that night that I really wanted to go out, but instead I just like was bored at home, and this kind of came out of boredom. And now it's like the best thing that ever happened. So I always think about just like that one night I just was like, I really can't afford this. I'm not going out. So yeah, I always think about that.
Hey guys, so this is the actual original bag. This is it. This is the Portmore backpack.
Looks
As
nice.
you can see, she's a little old, but yeah, this is what we started off with, and from that became all of this. So now we're in my office. We're located in Soho. There's the OG.
Like,
And then if you go around,
wow,
you see even more of the stuff we've done. Hey guys. More bags, shoes. And yeah, this is our now becoming, I guess, an office tour. Say hey guys.
Now he's an employer.
So yeah, from that one bag, all of this happened, and it's really, really crazy to just like kind of see it, experience it, and yeah. So all of this is due to this guy right here. And yeah, you should check out the website. We have a lot of stuff available. And that's it. Hey, Moises. Yeah. So yeah.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
On the 27th of November 2021, I was tired. You know, like, do you know when you are one of those people who is a relationship person and you are on these dating apps and you just can't seem to find anybody who wants to just date for real, you know, and not hook up and all of these things. You know, I was very close to deleting the app forever and being like, whatever, this is ridiculous. A profile of somebody who was based in Cape Town came across my feed and I swiped right. Fast forward, we start talking. He sent me a message, really, you know, kind of like conversation message, not just a hi. Started talking and moved over to WhatsApp, started sending voice notes back and forth. He sends me a voice note and I realized that this person's actually has an American accent. Based in Cape Town, find out more about this guy. And on the 3rd of December, actually we were meant to meet on the 4th of December, but that's another story. On the 3rd of December, he flies to Johannesburg from Cape Town to meet me. And on that day, on our very first date, we decided that we would not be, you know, on the app anymore, deleted the app, decided to focus on each other. Fast forward to the 14th of August 2023.
Woo!
He proposed with my dream ring, and the rest is history, or that's just the beginning. But yeah, as a person who really loves love and, you know, was so close to giving up, that was the small decision that really changed my life. I am very, very happy, absolutely in love, and yeah, man. It's incredible how the decisions you make that you think are inconsequential can literally change your entire life.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory.
I decided to do a monologue at an undergraduate cabaret. I was a junior, it was 2014, and a friend of mine was putting on a cabaret in undergrad. I wasn't a theater major, but he knew that I was a writer. So he said, hey, Shayna, could you just write a piece and then like do it as a monologue? I need something to like bridge these two parts of the cabaret. I was like, sure, I got the time. So I go do the piece. It was great. Next morning, I wake up with several $100s in an email saying that I got a scholarship from like one of the most acclaimed theaters in New Jersey. It was Two River Theater. It was like a town away from my undergraduate university of Monmouth University. So I talked to the theater department. I was like, oh, okay, so I guess like somebody saw my performance. They liked it. They probably do this often. The theater department said they've never given a student money before. You might want to look into this acting thing. And I was like, okay, sure. That performance happened a couple weeks before the end of my junior year. So I spent that summer like trying to figure out what acting stuff I wanted to do. And by the end of the summer, somebody recommended, hey, maybe check out acting graduate programs. I was like, I don't know a thing about that, but I'll apply to as many as I can afford. I know nothing about this, so I applied to all Ivy Leagues, and with no training, I got into Harvard University, the American Repertory Theater. Now, what I didn't fully comprehend was that part of my training involved me having to go to Moscow, Russia in 2016. Do you remember what happened in 2016? And I was in Moscow. It wasn't great, but I did get a lot of extensive like acting and dance training, specifically ballet, which circling back to this. So I come back from Russia, lots of PTSD, lots of training, graduate from my program in 2017, immediately get hit with a deteriorating spine, have to relearn how to walk the next year. Wow. And then, I'm just trying to like do my little acting thing once I have my legs back. So as I'm doing my little acting thing, COVID hits, Broadway shuts down, I am now unemployed. So I go back and I'm just chilling at my mom's place. Can't remember what I said in the last clip, but pretty much my mom was like, hey, you should consider writing. I was like, yeah, sure, I got nothing to do. And then so I'm just like writing all of these like little things for little people trying to get free stuff, right? And then one day I hop on Twitter and I see this editor is looking for somebody that has an extensive dance experience and has travel writing experience. Now, I wrote one piece of travel writing for USA Today at the time, and I had all of this extensive ballet experience from my chaotic time in Moscow. So I reached out to the editor and I was like, hey, I might be the person you're looking for. In about 3 weeks or so, the editor gets back to me and says, oh my gosh, like we need to hop on a call. I think you're exactly the writer that I'm looking for. What I did not realize was that that was the travel editor for the New York Times. He was having such a hard time finding a travel writer that had ballet experience at the level needed to write this specific piece about American ballet theater that was opening up in New York, which I was able to go to because I live in New Jersey at the time. So he's like, hey, the piece is yours. $2 per word. Are we good? I'm like, we're great. What I did not realize is that that piece would launch me into the realm of luxury travel writing for the rest of my life. And now I am a full-time food and beverage writer. That opportunity gave me the space to be able to work with so many amazing publications fully remote that I moved to Mexico for 6 months. I'm back in Jersey for my cousin's wedding, and now I'm moving to Spain at the end of this month. All because I was in a cabaret. If you want to read any of my articles or like see some of the fun projects that I'm working on that are all based in the travel space, go to the place where all the things are that I'm not allowed to say. But you know where they are. I'm going to finish this poop.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your...
I started applying to fuck it jobs. Jobs that pay me way more than I've ever been paid before. Jobs that felt like I didn't deserve, that were just above and beyond anything I've ever done before. And I started getting these jobs. Huh? And I did this because one of my friends applied for a job that she was not qualified for at all, and she got it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to start applying to fuck it jobs. Because honestly, shooting your shot will get you further in life than doing nothing. If you just shoot your shot, you have nothing to lose. You're going to hear a no a lot, but you'll also hear a yes. So start fucking shooting your shot.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
I got pregnant with my son when I was 6 weeks from graduating from college and had already put a deposit down on a dog. So at 7 weeks pregnant, I got a puppy, and I named her Franklin after Franklin, Tennessee. Stay with me here. I had my son, and I named him Wilson. I was a single mom until he was a year old. I got on Hinge because my friends told me to for one day, and I met a guy with the name W-I-L, Will. His first message to me was, Wilson is a strong name. Come to find out, his name was Wilson too. So fast forward, I find out that he is from Franklin, Tennessee, my dog's name. He also shares my son's name. And here we are today in Rosemary Beach. We've been married for over 2 years. We had a baby girl last year, and my husband adopted Wilson, making him Wilson Linder, which is my husband's name as well. So, very thankful to be where I am today because of those small little details.
One small, unimportant decision that you made that changed the whole trajectory of your life.
So about 10 years ago, it was my birthday, and I wanted to do something nice for myself. So I bought myself a Groupon. I don't know if you guys remember those. They were a big thing back then. So I bought myself a Groupon for a 1-month kickboxing class, and I just completely fell in love with it. So much that I actually started fighting, and then I did another fight, and then another, and then another. And I eventually accumulated like about 25 fights as an amateur. I became the #1 Muay Thai fighter in the United States at 48 kilograms. And I represented the USA last year at the World Games, and I won 3rd place there. and now I'm a pro MMA fighter.
Okay, so those were nice stories to hear. I think that one about the bag, the guy, the designer about the bag. Imagine he was having fear of missing out, and he said, "Let me start scrolling on the computer," and then decided to make a bag, and now he's celebrity. Will I say he's a celebrity bag designer? But his bags are being used by celebrities, which is very, very nice. Now mine will be similar to you. It's not like I'm a celebrity, but I was on the computer. I'd come back from work. I was checking out my Facebook page. I saw the ad for a scholarship. I don't even know if it's Chevening or Commonwealth. It was a scholarship, and they said full tuition fee and stipend and the rest. And I was like, okay. A friend of mine had liked the ad, so it popped up on my page, and I was like, let me click on it, let me look at it. I looked at everything, and I was like, oh, I was in my Delulu stage. So I was like, maybe I can do this, I can do it, I can apply, maybe I can win. Yes, I was feeling myself. But at one point, as I was reading it, I was reading the terms and conditions and everything I was supposed to do. So I was supposed to apply to 3 schools. And one of the schools that I decided to apply to the school because I knew 2 people that were there. One was my classmate. She was doing her PhD there. And then another was a former intern that had gotten a scholarship and was doing his master's program there. So that was the first school that I wanted to apply to. So I checked out the program that I wanted to do. I checked out the course. And then when I was looking at the conditions and everything, I saw that I have to pay an application fee of, I think it was £50. And I was like, I am not paying this money out of my salary. And the thing is that previously I tried to apply for a master's program in a Canadian school. I'd paid the application fee, I'd gotten the admission, but I didn't have money to follow through. So I was like, I'm not doing this again. I don't want to get myself involved in this thing, pay the application fee, get my hopes high, and then no money to follow through. So I was like, if God wants me to follow through with this, that he will provide the money apart from using money from my salary. So I was like, I'm looking for the money outside my salary because I'm not going to pay that amount outside from my salary. And then something happened. Ebola happened in Nigeria. So we had our first case of Ebola and everybody was going because you know that Ebola is very fatal. So about 50% fatality rate or something like that. So everybody was just going, everybody was looking for hand sanitizer, looking for gloves, looking for this. Personally, then when I was working outside Lagos, the first Ebola case, the first Ebola case and the subsequent Ebola cases were located in Lagos, but because Ebola is very infective, it was already spreading to other states with some carriers. Any which way, hand sanitizer is one of the ways to help you fight against Ebola, because we all know with COVID, it's very effective in preventing the transmission of the virus. So everybody was looking for hand sanitizer. Now, this was pre-COVID. Not a lot of people knew about hand sanitizer. People that stock hand sanitizers in their supermarkets really used to like sell out because people were not using hand sanitizers. But I was using hand sanitizer because I'm weird. So I always have a hand sanitizer in my bag, and everybody in my department at that point knew that I had hand sanitizers. I always use hand sanitizers. So I was called like, oh, can you help us and get hand sanitizers? And I was from Lagos. I was not in Lagos at that point in time. I was not working in Lagos at that point in time. So I knew where to get hand sanitizer. My mother knew where to get hand sanitizer. So I was like, okay, good. I'm going to go and get. I contacted people. I contacted my mom. This I bought for the department, bought for the hospital. And then I told my mom, okay, I could do this as a business because everybody was looking for hand sanitizer at that point in time. So I was like, okay, she helped me and get hand sanitizer, send it to me, I would sell. The first batch came and I was selling. I was even like, oh, my profit and the rest. I was like calculating what I would do with my profit, and I was about to sleep. And something just said, you asked for money for the application fee. Why do you want to spend it on something else? Like, wait a minute. So fast forward the whole period of the Ebola, and when we eventually got control over it. So Ebola eventually, we were able to get control over the Ebola virus and the spread, and we were on our way to being certified by WHO that Nigeria was Ebola free. At that time, people had stopped really looking for hand sanitizer, and then a lot of people had started buying hand sanitizers and selling hand sanitizers. So any which way, at that time, the total I made was enough to pay for the application fee, and I was like, what? So I eventually did the application and everything. I still did not have the money. I did not know where the money was coming from, but I was in my Delulu stage, and I was like, I was going to get the scholarship, the full scholarship with stipend, flight allowance and everything. So I continued. I applied for the first school. Within 3 weeks, I got my admission. Then I decided to look at the terms and conditions of the scholarship that I saw, that I clicked the Facebook ad. And I was like, I did not like it. It was restrictive, and I knew that there were people had ways to get over the terms and conditions. But personally, I know that if I try that kind of thing, I'll get caught. And I did not want that. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing this application. I don't feel comfortable applying for this scholarship, because even if I get it, I'm not comfortable with the terms and conditions. But the school that I applied to, the first school I applied to, had a personal scholarship. So they had a scholarship that was funded by the school itself. It had none of the terms and conditions. That time, the scholarship that was really available did not have any allowance for stipend payment. It was just the tuition fee, 100% scholarship option, and the 50% scholarship option. Now, I was really in my Delulu stage, and I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for this one, and I'm going to win. You have to fill the essays. You have to write some essays. So there were some questions. They'll tell you, write in 50 words, write in 100 words. And I did not know what I was doing. I was thinking I was writing something. But remember, I told you that there was a former intern that I had that was in the school, and by the time I was looking at the scholarship, I realized that is the scholarship that he won, not the other type that I was thinking about. So I was like, okay, let me ask him some questions and how we applied, how we answered the questions. Now, I would have said, oh, let me send my question. I don't even know if I sent my answers to him or something, but whatever. He kind of gave me like a vague, brief overview of what I'm supposed to write. And I went, cancelled all what I've written, and started looking for how to write the English, everything. Any which way, I eventually applied from my house. And because I'm Nigerian, in Nigeria, all those kind of scholarship, you need to know somebody, because everything gets as it be. So me, I'm like, oh, I don't know, but I have faith. I was really in my Delulu stage. I say, oh, I had faith. I was like, any which way, I was really hoping for 100%. So I was like, okay, so let's do this. We've applied. I applied way before the deadline, and I was like, it's all in God's hand. Now, some weeks after, they were like, oh, that there's a bursary for my course. So I don't think that thing has happened again after my set. But apparently, maybe someone donated money, an alumni or something donated money, and they were able to give international students a bursary of £4,500. I think so, yeah. So, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Reduce the amount of the tuition fee that we were supposed to pay. And I sent the message that, oh, if I get a 50% scholarship, would it be added? And they say, yes, that's only if you have the 100% scholarship that the bursary will not be added to you. I was like, okay, that's cool. The 50% and the bursary would give you about 60% off of the tuition fees. Anyways, fast forward to July, I get the message from the school. It's time for people to know the winners, as in everybody that has submitted, to know if they won or if it is a unfortunately. I saw this message, I saw the mail when it dropped. When I was participating in a workshop, I looked at it. I refused to check it. I was like, no, when I get home. I got home, I was on the floor. I was on the floor. So if I wanted to fall down, I cannot fall down. And I opened it. I got the 50% scholarship. I was like, what? And for me, that was a major break point in my life, or breakthrough point in my life, because I always feel like I'm good, but I'm not good enough. I'm good to help people, but I'm not good enough for the awards or something. And it's like, what? How? Where? I was shocked. And I was like, what? Anyway, fast forward, I have a Master's of Public Health degree from the University of Nottingham. I actually have another channel where my intro is like, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Omolomi, aka Petite Diva, and I am a University of Nottingham alumni and also a Developing Solutions Scholarship Award winner. And that is because of that decision to click a Facebook ad, which I normally don't do. And like I said, I had just given up on doing my master's outside Nigeria because the first attempt was not that favorable. Any which way, fast forward some years, my cousin-in-law, that's the person that married my cousin, wanted to do his master's in the UK, and he had applied for this scholarship and the same master's program from my school, and he didn't get it. So we worked together and did a lot of back and forth for months. Any which way, he reapplied for that scholarship and got it. We also did another scholarship. We also applied for another scholarship. That scholarship involved video, as in a video entry. Not the previous one is written, so your words, everything. And I'm more of a good writer than a speaker. But any which way, we knew the points because of, based on my experience and everything, we knew the points that we wanted to make. I wanted to sell him very well, and because of, based on my experience, I was able to do that. And so we went back and forth on what it's supposed to say. And since it was a video entry, thanks to my YouTube channel, that I feel is not so important, but because I started this YouTube channel years ago, because of that is another story. Whatever, I started it, and because I've learned editing and different things about video stuff, I was able to teach him how to do the video. I actually used my camera and everything to film, and I edited it. And the way I edited it to know that yes, it's an somebody that has a bit of editing skill that edited this, but not super not like a videographer, so that they will not say, oh, this person went to go and meet a videographer or something. So it looked more authentic, but it looked a step ahead of what a normal person or what someone who doesn't have video editing skills would do. So I made it, I did it a little bit nice, and he got the other scholarship. So he got 2 scholarships that were almost worth £25,000, and was eventually able to do his master's in one of the schools. Even though I've not seen like the greatest impact of the whole MPH in my life, but the fact that if I can do that MPH, if I can apply for that scholarship and win other scholarships, if I can do that MPH with my insecurity and all my low self-esteem and pass well, I can do anything. That has been my mindset since that time. I can do anything. What's the worst that can happen? So I do some things and I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? It works, fine. It doesn't work, fine. We go again. So basically I don't even know what made me, no, I know what made me click that day. what made me click that ad was because I saw a friend like it. Simple. And it's not like I'm moved by things like that, but I was just like, okay, this person liked it. Let's see what it's all about. And yeah. So any which way, that is my own story. I would love to read some of your own story. What was that one small thing that you did that had a greater impact on your life or the lives of others? Please leave your story, leave your comment in the comment section. Let it uplift some people, let it uplift us. Let us get this conversation going. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed and you like videos such as this, please consider subscribing by clicking on the red button that says subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell notification icon by the side so that you're notified anytime I upload videos. Now, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.